Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Danny or Danny Alexa, whichever you prefer. I don't mind either. And today in this video, I will be showing you how to create your own custom fit dress form. Yeah, so I decided that I wanted to make my own dress form because the one that I have at home isn't really, it's the adjustable one, but you can't really pin it well. I don't really like draping on it just because of the fact that one, you can't pin it well. Two, it's like when you adjust the size, there's like a split in the middle of like the dress form, and it's like it's hard to like find the center front, and it's just very difficult. So I thought, now that I'm a newly graduated student, I won't be back at school. I won't be able to use the dress forms that they have at school, even though the ones that they have at school, they don't match my body size. So I needed a custom dress form, and I was watching a YouTube creator. Her name is Kathy. I don't know exactly how to pronounce her name. She said it in a video, and I have to find that video so that way I can like get the pronunciation, but I'm pretty sure it's like Kathy. And she made her own dress form, and I thought, why not give it a look? And I went onto a website called, I'll put it here when I figure it out. But I went onto the website, and it's actually $26, I believe it was, for the dress form, for the pattern for the dress form. So I was like, why not? Because I looked on Royal dress forms, and it's like $1,000. I looked on PGM dress forms, and it's like $500. And I'm a newly graduated college student, so I don't have a lot of money to spare, and I decided just make one of my own. So this is the pattern, but I bought like the main bodice piece and then an arm. I did get mine with seam allowance, and the whole thing has a 3/8 of an inch seam allowance. But yeah, let's just get into the video.
So first you want to start off with assembling your pattern, and the way you want to do that is by lining up your pieces edge to edge. Do not overlap. And once you feel like you have it lined up as best as possible, just tape those edges together. As you can see, I'm taking my time with making sure the lines match up because I don't want any discrepancies while I'm cutting or while I'm sewing, and it's just easier to take your time now than trying to adjust later on. And now I'm just continuing on going through the pattern, and once I have that done, all I'm going to do is just cut it out along the seam allowance. The pattern comes with a 3/8 of an inch seam allowance, just to take that in mind as well. Once you have all your pattern pieces cut out, what really helped me was separating each piece by what needs to be cut out. So I have the patterns for my lining pieces, and I'm going to set those aside. The patterns for my shell fabric only, and I'm going to set those aside. And I'm also going to set aside the pieces for my cardboard. Now I'm going to focus on cutting out the pieces for my main fabric, my shell fabric, which is going to be cut out in this cotton canvas fabric. It's beige, almost a white. I didn't want to use any color other than beige because I didn't want it to blend in. I want it to be easy to see. So I'm going to line up all of my pieces, but first I am going to lay down my interfacing because everything needs to be interfaced. And here are all of my pieces cut out, and like I said, I'm first going to focus on the shell pieces. First, you are going to pin and stitch the center back pieces to the side back pieces, matching the notches, and you're going to clip into every seam about 5/8 of an inch and then press it open. So that's exactly what I'm doing here. I'm just lining up all of my pieces, notching them in first before I do anything, and then once I finish notching, I'm going to put the pieces together, stitch, and then clip. Now you can see I am going to take my tailor's ham and help it press open that curve. And this is what it should look like after you've pressed it and clipped in everything. Next, I am going to focus on the front pieces. So I am going to focus on the cups, the lower front and side front pieces. I am also going to focus on the upper front and side front pieces. I have already pinned everything together. So what you are going to do is pin and stitch side cups to the center cups and lower side fronts to the lower center fronts, matching notches. I also went ahead and pinned and stitched the upper side front to the upper center fronts, matching the notches. And once you do that, you're going to clip into every seam about 5/8 of an inch just to ease those curves and then press those seams open. Now I have everything sewn together and it all looks very neat and very pleasing to the eye, and I clipped in everywhere where I needed to clip in and it's all flat. Now I am going to focus on the lower front and side front pieces and the cups. What I'm going to do there is I'm going to pin and stitch the cups to the lower fronts, matching the notches and the princess seam. And with this, you really want to take your time because you have reverse curves and it could be really hard to match up everything. And what I do is I first put a pin in the seam of the cup and then I put that pin straight into the seam of the lower front, and it just helps to make sure I'm matching up everything. Okay, so my camera did die at this point, so I moved forward a couple of steps. So basically I attached the cups to the lower front pieces, but I also attached the upper front pieces to the cups, and I went ahead and I used a red zigzag stitch to outline the bottom of the cups, and I drew some lines that will be red zigzag stitches in the future. I wanted to do it continuously, so I didn't do them separately. I also went ahead and stay stitched the armholes, and I pinned the side front to the side back, as well as I pinned the center front pieces together. And I'm going to sew those straight stitches and clip into all of the curves and then press it open. Once that is done, I'm going to move on to the neck piece. First, you're going to stay stitch at 3/8 of an inch from the edge around the neckline. Clip to stay stitching, keeping clips about 5/8 of an inch apart. Stay stitch from the edge along the upper edge of the neck. Pin and stitch the neck to the neckline. Clip into curves, open, and press seams. And then once you do that, here is my I close the center back seam, and my zigzag stitches at the back don't line up perfectly, and that's okay in my opinion because it's not that far apart, like not matching up, like they're very close to each other, so it doesn't really matter to me. But here I'm basically pointing out that my waistline seems to be a bit higher than it actually is. I don't know if that's just a error on my part or if that's the pattern, but there isn't a notch that really indicates the waistline perfectly for me. So I just followed that second line from the top on the pattern. But it's honestly, it's fine because when I'm draping, all I have to do is just remember to bring down my waistline a couple of inches. So it really doesn't bother me. Next, we're going to move to adding the neck cover. So what you want to do is clip to the stay stitching in the neckline, keeping clips about 5/8 of an inch apart. And then you're going to pin the neck to the top. You're going to pin the neck top to the neck, matching the notches and the stitches. And then you are going to trim the seam allowance to about 1/8 of an inch. And then you're basically going to do the same to the armhole covers. You're going to pin the armhole covers to the armholes, matching at the notches, clip to the stay stitching of the armholes, keeping clips about 5/8 of an inch apart. And then you're going to sew the armhole covers to the armholes. Then you are going to start to baste the inner lining armhole covers to the armhole covers and insert the cardboard armhole matching the notches. Finish basting and stitch. I also just wanted to add here that I'm sorry if my voiceover isn't really matching with the video. I was talking while I was recording, but the audio didn't come out well, so I ended up having to do a voiceover. So please forgive me if it sounds weird. Now that the armholes and the neck pieces are pinned and sewn, this is what it should look like. And now we're going to focus on the inner support. First, you are going to stitch the pipe sleeve from the top fold to the lower notches along the edges. And again, I'm sorry if like my voiceover isn't helpful in this tutorial. I'm doing the best. Next, you're going to insert the plastic tube into the pipe sleeve, making sure that it glides in and out of the pipe sleeve easily. Then you're going to cut the lower unsewn edge of the pipe sleeve into the 3/4 wide fringe as shown below. Next, you're going to pin the front inner support piece on top of the pipe sleeve's edge, matching notches. Pin and stitch along the edge. Then you're going to place the back inner support piece on top of the other pipe sleeve edge, matching the notches, and then you're going to pin and stitch along the sleeve edge. And then once you do all of that, you're going to fold the finished cover in half so you see both the back center front and the front center seams. And then you're gonna like try to flatten it as much as possible. You're gonna clip into the curves at the center back seam, repeating at 5/8 of an inch. And then you're going to pin the inner support center back seam to the cover center back seam, making sure that both pieces have open flat seams facing each other. You don't want to pin both sides of the seam allowance to both sides of the seam allowance because it's not going to lay flat when you stuff it. So make sure that both pieces have open flat seams facing each other while being pinned. Match the bust line, the waistline, and the hips of both pieces. And then you're going to clip in the front center seam allowance at the neck. Stitch the inner support piece to the cover along the stitch lines. Clip into the curves on the inner support. And then once you do that, you're also going to cut out your neck top piece using a razor knife or scissors, and then you're going to insert that into the body of the dress form's cover, and then insert the sponge into the neck. Next, you're going to stay stitch the pieces of the back base support cover and the front base support cover along the straight sides and around the semicircular cutout in the center. And then once you do that, you're going to trim and clip the curves. And right now I am just lining up all of my pieces. And then once that is done, you are going to turn the pieces right side out and then press them as flat as possible. And then you are going to insert your zipper. And to do that, you're going to turn under your zipper's ends and stitch. And then you're going to baste zippers to the base support finished edges, connecting front and back pieces together. And then you're going to use a zipper foot to assist in stitching close to the zipper's teeth, machine stitch up to and back stitch at lower end of the zipper opening. Trim off any extra zipper length. Now you're going to stay stitch 3/8 of an inch from the edge around the cover's lower edge, pin the zipped base cover to the dress form lower edge, matching notches, and then you're going to clip into the curves of the dress form's lower edge. Stitch the base support cover to the dress form cover, turn the base cover right side out. Next, you're going to insert the trimmed plastic tube up into the sleeve. I accidentally got like too big of a pipe, so it's kind of hard to get in and out. But anyway, you're going to start stuffing the dress form firmly from the neck to the bottom. And what I do is I kind of just like stuff. And then once I get to a certain point, I stop and I measure. And in the instruction packet, it says to avoid lumps, stuff small portions at a time, and check to make sure that the center back and center front lines are straight, and make sure to stuff the breasts very firmly. Here is my dress form about halfway stuffed. As I said, once I finished stuffing the bust part, I stopped and I measured, and right now my waist and my bust is just about the same length as my own. So now that I have confirmed that this is the right amount of stuffing that I need, I'm going to keep moving downward and stuffing the hips. Now that I have the entire dress form stuffed, I am going to insert the cardboard base support into the bottom of the dress form, and you're going to pull out the pipe sleeve fringe through the center hole and glue the fringe onto the cardboard. And then you're going to keep stuffing until you have everything firm, and you're going to do that by stuffing through the extra holes in the base support, and then you're going to zip up the dress form. And then once you do that, just put your piping on to your stand and you're done. Okay, so I just wanted to add in here that I did sew together the arm and I did record that, but the videos aren't very nice and it didn't come out the way that I wanted it to, so I didn't include that in this video. And I just wanted to reiterate again that I am sorry that this video isn't as articulated as it should be. I definitely didn't, the audio in the video just didn't come out right, so I didn't want this video to go to waste, so I thought I'd just do a voiceover. I hope that if you do decide to follow this pattern, you do use my video and it is helpful alongside the instructions. But yeah, I just wanted to add that in there because I'm not really happy with the audio and the voiceover, but I did the best that I can.
Okay, so this is gonna be my third time filming this outro because the first time the camera stopped recording and it doesn't make a noise or beep or do anything to tell you that it stopped recording. I filmed it a second time, all to find out that I wasn't actually filming. So, third time's the charm. Okay, If you would like to make your own dress form, stop by bootstrapfashion.com. I would highly recommend. This is not necessarily for a beginner. There are definitely a whole lot of curves, seam matching, technicality that goes into it. So I would say this is for more of an intermediate, but more of an advanced intermediate. This project is definitely for you, especially if you do take sewing very, very seriously. I recommend getting this and doing it for yourself if you don't have the money to spend on a dress form. And please, if you liked this video, if you want to see more content from me, please subscribe to the channel. Please like, share, and subscribe. It'll definitely help me out. I would love for some video content ideas, what you guys want to see me make. I'm very, very good at sewing, so I will try to make anything that you guys come up with. But yeah, I will see you all in the next video. Bye!